My name's Erenbeckor. I'm the author and illustrator of Journey and its sequels Quest and Return. I've been working on a new wordless picture book. This one's called A Stone for Sasha. And it's about a young girl. She comes to terms over the loss of her pet dog. It is a quiet book, but epic as well, because while she's on vacation with her family, she finds something magical on the beach that will change her life forever. I've actually taken an entirely different approach with the artwork for A Stone for Sasha. I wanted something softer and more ethereal. My film background was in digital art, and I've been able to emulate the feel of oil pastels on a digital tablet. The pen that I use knows how hard I'm pressing or at what angle I'm making marks. I can work from thick to thin, make broad strokes, zoom in for details, and layer paint just as I would on real paper. In the end, the process feels surprisingly natural. The first step was to work out the story in sketch form. At some point, we leave the girl on the beach. We travel through space and time. I wanted it to be a fantastical, but also feasible journey. So I knew I'd have to do a good amount of research. I started going to museums in New York and across the country during school visits, finding clues in artifacts and books. And after a while, it seemed that everything around me was connected to the story, so it was hard to know when to stop. But eventually, my editor and I settled on what by then had grown into a 48-page wordless book. The idea for the story itself came about while I was living in Granada. Each day on my walk to my studio there, I would pass this old church. Like most of the city, it was ornate and full of history, so one day I stopped to read the sign out front. It turns out that hundreds of years ago, this church had been a mosque, and before that, a different church, and even before that, an ancient Roman structure. It was hard to stand there in front of this church and not think about its history, the grand scale of time that the rocks there had witnessed. It made me wonder, what is it like to watch the rise and fall of empires? Can we learn from a chiseled rock or from a polished stone? Can we find comfort in stories that might be older than our own? In writing A Stone for Sasha, my intention wasn't to answer any of these questions, but instead to encourage the reader to discover their own path through the book. The minute I hand off my final illustrations, the book won't really be mine anymore. Instead, my hope is that inside A Stone for Sasha, there's a story that belongs to you.